Today's video is sponsored by my face. See, I wasn't lying. Here's my face, and it's all throughout the video. What is up, my short attention span history nerds? My name's Mike Perry, and you're watching 10-Minute History. My first Star Wars video was an amazing train wreck. I was brand new to YouTube and editing. I had a cheap camera and no external mic. After you watch this video, compare it to the other Star Wars video I made, and you'll see what I mean. And then, like I said in my first video, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I love everything Star Wars except for the movies that Kathleen Kennedy had a hand in. I still watched them, but I didn't enjoy them as much as I did the non-Kathleen Kennedy poisoned movies. Now, I've spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on Star Wars merchandise, trivia books, trivia contests, and I even financed one of my homes by selling a small portion of my Star Wars collection. But I digress. So imagine how surprised I was when researching for this video that I came across some facts that I didn't know. The Star Wars franchise is the most analyzed, documented, and discussed scientific franchise ever created, even above Star Trek. Sorry, Trekkies, it's true. But even with all the books and videos on the Star Wars universe, there's still a lot about the movies that even die-hard fans don't know. Even if you consider yourself a Jedi master of Star Wars trivia, certified historian of all things Skywalker and Solo, there's still going to be some tidbits of knowledge that will still be new information to you. These are 10 Star Wars facts that I believe will surprise you. The R2-D2 we all know and love spoke only in beeps and whistles, a robot language that only Luke and C-3PO seemed to understand. But in the original draft of Star Wars written in 1974, R2-D2 spoke in complete English sentences, much like C-3PO. Even more shocking, he was not the lovable mecha-droid we all grew to love. He was actually a jerk that consistently berated C-3PO with insults like, "You're a mindless, useless philosopher, and you're nothing more than a dim-witted, emotional-brained intellectual. Why you were even created is beyond my logic system." Much of the finished product of A New Hope still had 3PO reacting to Kenny Baker, the man inside R2, reading these lines for Anthony Daniels to react to. If the talking R2 had stayed in the movie, I can imagine the audience cheering as the Jawas shot R2 before kidnapping him and hoping he died. Do droids die? We all know that the original trilogy ended on a happy note. The dark side is defeated by Vader and Palpatine's death. All of our favorite characters survive, and the brave teddy bears danced for joy. But according to J.W. Rensler's The Making of Star Wars, The Return of the Jedi, this wasn't the original idea. In early story meetings, writer-director George Lucas considered an ending for Return of the Jedi that was much darker and much more shocking. Lucas originally wrote, "Luke takes Vader's mask off. The mask is the very last thing. And then Luke puts it on and says, 'Now I am Vader.' It continues, 'Now I will go on and kill the rebel fleet and I will rule the universe.'" Huh? I bet you didn't know that. Now, everyone on the film loved this shocking ending, but Lucas ultimately decided to go a different way, feeling like Luke going evil was a bit too dark considering his franchise was intended for kids. Long before Yoda was created by animatronics and puppetry by master puppeteer Frank Oz, the plan was to hire an actual actor, not a human actor, but rather a trained monkey. According to The Making of Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, they planned to dress up a real monkey into a Yoda costume and mask. Yeah, I can imagine a monkey loving the idea of having its face covered in latex and having people yelling directions at him. I mean, what could go wrong? Now, luckily, a crew member who had previously worked on 2001: A Space Odyssey pointed out that the apes used in that movie's opening were a huge pain in the ass, which was enough to convince Empire's filmmakers to fire the monkey and hire a puppeteer. Personally, I think the monkey idea would have been the death knell in the whole franchise. Imagine this abomination on Luke's back, teaching him the ways of the Force while throwing feces at the crew. Poe Dameron goes against General Leia Organa's orders in The Last Jedi, but not without consequences. Isaacs revealed in an interview with Stephen Colbert that the scene in question, which Leia demotes Poe, was a difficult one to get right, leading to the late actress slapping the young star more than 40 times. Oscar Isaacs loved it, while the makeup team hated it, and commented that each slap was an honor. After all, it was the great Carrie Fisher doing the slapping. Most people believe that the world's most loved bounty hunter, Boba Fett, first appeared in 1980's The Empire Strikes Back. But even die-hard fans think it happened a little earlier in the Star Wars Holiday Special in 1978. The first time anyone set eyes on Boba Fett was on September 24th, 1978, during the San Anselmo County Fair Parade in California. The townspeople were only lucky enough to get an advance look at what would become one of Star Wars' most beloved badass bounty hunters because they shared a zip code with 52 Parkway, which happened to be the original headquarters of Lucasfilms. Dwayne Dunham, an assistant film editor for Lucas who wore the Boba Fett suit, said in an interview that he and some tall guy that he didn't really know, dressed as Darth Vader, we were just in the front of the parade. We were leading the whole thing. We just walked side by side down the street, Dunham explained, and it was kind of funny. There weren't very many people at the parade, he recalled, before adding, I don't think any press outside the local newspaper even covered it anyways. Now, can you imagine a parade with Boba Fett and Darth Vader where the audience is confused as to who these costume-clad weirdos are and why they were invited to walk into the parade? We definitely live in a different world now. When we think of Darth Vader, the first name that usually comes to mind is James Earl Jones, the voice behind the series' most infamous villain. But the man in the costume was somebody entirely different, the late British bodybuilder named David Prowse. And Prowse apparently isn't among Lucas's favorite people. As Prowse revealed on his website, which has since been taken down, he has been banned from all Lucasfilm associated events, which includes conventions and other Star Wars celebrations. That's right, Darth Vader was banned from participating in any Star Wars event. When he reached out for an explanation, Prowse said he was told that he had burnt too many bridges between Lucasfilms and himself, and that no other reason was given. Lucas declined to elaborate, but rumor was that Prowse was a bit too vocal about his displeasure in learning that another actor, Sebastian Shaw, would be used for the Vader unmasking scene, and his complaints made it to the media and ruined the surprise ending when Vader's true face was revealed. And just think how pissed Prowse would have been if Luke Skywalker had actually became Vader too. To create the barren desert planet of Tatooine, Lucas found the perfect setting in Tunisia. What he didn't account for was how his production props could have caused a war between two countries. You see, Tunisia shares a border with Libya, which at the time was ruled by a dictator named Muammar Gaddafi. Reportedly, the Tunisian government received threats from Gaddafi, warning that war was inevitable if they didn't remove a military vehicle from the Libyan border. Now, that military vehicle in question was actually a Jawa sandcrawler. Gaddafi went so far as to set up a battery of rockets aimed at the sandcrawler just in case it tried to launch an attack on Libya. And Lucas agreed to move the prop because, well, inciting an international incident and getting cast and crew members murdered just isn't a good way to publicize a movie. Or is it? Compared with the snowy tundras and the barren deserts the Star Wars cast and crew had to endure, filming in the redwood forest of Northern California to create the forest moon of Endor for Return of the Jedi must have been a cakewalk, except for the late actor Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca. During the several-month shoot, he had to be constantly chaperoned by bodyguards in bright vests to protect him from hunters. That's because in costume, Mayhew could have easily been mistaken for a bear and shot. Even more funnier is that the bodyguards had to protect the actor from people searching the forest for Bigfoot. That's right, Bigfoot, the mythical creature that's rumored to be hiding somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. You might believe that this is just a funny story, but Mayhew actually revealed it in a story on Reddit. Even more amazing is that several Bigfoot hunters were actually stopped from entering the redwoods after hearing that Bigfoot had been sighted, and some of them were armed with high-powered rifles. The late great actor Sir Alec Guinness was accustomed to performing Shakespeare before he signed on to play Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope. And according to many accounts, he hated the film, he hated his co-stars, and he hated the script. In a letter to friends, as obtained by Mashable, Guinness complained that new rubbish dialogue reached me every other day on pages of pink paper, and none of it made my character any clearer or any bearable. Guinness even wrote in his autobiography, A Positively Final Appearance, that a young fan asked him for an autograph and claimed that he had seen Star Wars 100 times. Guinness agreed to give the child an autograph, but only if he agreed never to watch the movie again. The kid burst into tears, Guinness wrote. I just hope that the lad, now in his 30s, is not living a fantasy world of secondhand childish banalities. The weird thing is, Guinness took this part willingly after reading the script. Maybe he just hated kids. At the request of Lucas's daughter, he invited members of the boy band NSYNC to make a brief cameo in the prequel Attack of the Clones on their break from their 2001 Pop Odyssey tour. Now, Lance Bass and Justin Timberlake opted to pass on the opportunity because they were just too cool for Star Wars. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know why they passed. But the rest of the band agreed to be suited up as Jedi Knights. They even took part in an actual battle fighting droids in the climactic Geonosis battle. Joey Fatone remembered that the only direction that they were giving was, pretend like you're fighting droids. Sadly, we'll never know if they were convincing as Jedi, as their scenes were cut from the final edit. Now imagine a 90s boy band saving the Rebel Alliance. Had the scene been left in the Star Wars movie, this would have gained a whole new audience. Now this one's not really trivia, but rather a super cool story. In 1979, Fisher rented a London townhouse from Monty Python member Eric Idle, where they stayed while they were filming Empire Strikes Back. One night, Idle visited while on return from Tunisia, where he and the other Python members had been filming Life of Brian. He brought this drink that he said they gave the extras so that they would work longer, Fisher wrote. I called it Tunisian table cleaner. Harrison Ford stopped by, as did the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones, who were recording down the block. We had a really early morning call the next morning, but you have to measure the fun, Fisher replied. Rolling Stones or early morning call. And we did both. After partying all night with the Stones, Ford and Fisher arrived for the morning shoot without any sleep. The first scene of the day, the Cloud City meeting with Lando. It was the first meeting with Billy D. Williams, and as you'll notice in the film, both Han and Leia are all smiles. And well, who wouldn't be after an all-nighter with the Rolling Stones? And oh yeah, the Rolling Stones were on set to watch the filming. So that's 10 behind-the-scenes trivia that I bet you didn't know. Or did you? Did anything surprise you or disappoint you, like Alec Guinness hating Star Wars and being a jerk to kids? Let me know in the comments section down below. And if you like short history videos with humor and a little sarcasm, consider subscribing to 10-Minute History. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And stick around for my bloopers. If you have another 10 minutes, check out the videos that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Until next time. Yeah, I messed up on that earlier too. Writer-director, oh man, I almost got it. That's not what it says. Just read the script, Mike. You wrote the script, read the script. It's not that hard, it's not brain science. Well, that's not even what I wrote. Why do you keep going off script?